Final Fantasy XIV may be coming in on its 11th anniversary, but we're talking about our 10-year anniversary of playing Final Fantasy XIV, this time on the Carbuncle Chronicle. Hello, adventurers, and welcome to the Carbuncle Chronicle, your podcast for everything awesome in Final Fantasy XIV. I'm Basil, and I play a Lalafell, mostly summoner, named 4K Rydiske.
I'm Anna. I play a Lalafell and here, mostly dancer, named Cormia Rydiske. The here's on Crystal, so I don't talk about her.
And that is us, but not just us. We actually are been very lucky to talk about our 10 years with folks who have also been playing same amount of time, if not longer. There are buds from the other side of the pond. They actually just recently had their 8th anniversary as a Final Fantasy XIV podcast and stream, which I believe makes them one of the longest running, still running Final Fantasy XIV podcasts around. You'll hear them welcome you as with great googly mornings and great moogly evenings, or just a good old hearty, we're back. So thank y'all very much for joining us from Moogle Go Round Radio, Chili and Paul. How's it going, guys?
Not bad, thank you. Thank you for the lovely words. But yeah, we're back. We're back. I didn't see. That's why I think we crashed last stream, because I didn't start with that. I feel like that's what cursed it. Like, we were away for a while, and I didn't say that, so the stream was like, you got to restart. You didn't say it.
You didn't do the thing.
You didn't do the thing that you do.
As a longtime podcaster, saying welcome back or we're back is so something I want to say, even though I know theoretically you're not supposed to, because you never know when it's someone's first episode. But sure as hell ain't my first episode. So I really want to welcome people back, because I've been doing it for forever. So I absolutely get the inclination, the want, the need to say it. And frankly, now that you've made it a thing, own it. That's awesome.
I feel bad. I'm the only non-Lalafell player here.
Well, as we can talk about later, I did not start out as a Lalafell.
And I did not start out as a Vieira.
And my Crystal character, I'm on her just about as much now, and she's a healer, so.
Funny enough, so's my NA character now. Is also a healer.
Okay, well, there you go. And all Lalafells can always use a chaperone.
Yes, true.
I think Chili's flew me around more than I flew him around, so.
It's fun getting into like a dungeon or a raid or something, and it's all Lalafells and then one not Lalafell. And then they look around, they realize what they've gotten themselves into, and we're like,
Field trip.
Mommy, Daddy, field trip. And they're like, no, don't do this to me.
Oh yeah, I've done that multiple times when they're like, oh look, they've taken us out for a party. Like, I don't think my Lalafell's a kid. I mean, my Lalafell's name is literally called Daddy Chili, so, but still.
Same.
Oh man, I'm now remembering back in the day, my character 4K, he has a green mustache. And for the longest time when we first started playing, Anna thought it was a pacifier.
Like one.
Those PS3 graphics, right?
I said, this is why we need the graphics update.
Right.
Because I legit went to him one day and went, why does your character have a pacifier? And he went, what? And I looked and I pointed to him. He went, that's the mustache. And I was like, oh, never mind.
Well, the laptop you also had.
Oh, that laptop was worse than a PS3.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But we'll get into that. Before we really though start, I just want to ask, since I know we are in the lead up to Dawn Trail, Chili, Paul, and Chili. Is there anything you're looking forward to right now playing 14 as we get up to Dawn Trail?
Well, I can tell you what I'm not looking forward to, and that's Viper, because I'm still disappointed in the class. But mainly just the graphics update. I think the graphics update is mostly what I'm looking forward to. Obviously, everyone looks forward to story because it's story. It's Final Fantasy 14. Everyone enjoys story. But no, graphics update mainly. Graphics update and possibly all the new skills. And to see Twitter absolutely explode.
Yep.
That's my favourite part of the entire season.
Yeah.
Season of the expansions. Oh yeah, just watch shit back. Oh, this content creator doesn't like this. Oh, okay. Paladin broken again. Oh, warrior needs a buff. I see.
Wait, Red Mage Res is 5 minutes?
I'm waiting for Shake It Off to get a res.
That would be nice. That's the AoE
I'm waiting
res.
for White Mage to get Rescue Guy so I can rescue everyone
Yes.
into me. There's a stack marker. Well, you know what that means. Come here, everybody.
Yes.
But meanwhile, the tank busters also happen at the same time. Oh, wait a minute.
Look,
Yes.
like, that just means I have to use skill to make sure that I'm far enough away from the tank that I pull the party, but not close enough to the tank that I pull in the tank. It means I have to work out positionals as a White Mage. See, it'll add the skill and depth to the job.
I mean,
Love it.
will positional still be in the game and Dawn Trail? Will they get rid of them?
Well, no, I didn't mean like an actual positional. I just mean like I'd have to position myself
Range.
in
Paul,
a specific range.
Positional aren't dots. It's fine. Like, you're still going to have at least a few positionals. Don't
Yeah,
worry about that.
I'm curious to know if I'm gonna keep my Bard dots next expansion, because I think I'm the only one of the few that still have them.
Everyone has a dot.
No, every job has a dot, right?
Yes, but I have 2, so I'm gonna get rid of at least 1.
Well, to be fair, bard dots that is their kind of like their main damage. They always keep it up there.
True.
2 of them. They have skills that amplify of how many dots they have. I remember.
I don't think. I
correctly.
think that actually ended with Endwalker. Now
Did
it used to.
Oh, I still like it because I think it was like Sidewinder or that did more damage. the
Yeah,
more dots you
it
had.
did, and then Endwalker took that away.
Man, why can't bards have anything fun?
I know. I mean, I'm getting a flip and a really cool guitar bow, but
That guitar bow is pretty cool.
Garbo is pretty cool.
I agree,
That
it
is-
is awesome. And the monk actions that I think look cool as well. I like the look of the monk stuff. Because I used to be a monk originally. Well, I was a paladin actually originally, and then went monk.
Wasn't it didn't it look like a cheetah fist or something?
Yeah.
something like
a tiger fist kind of thing. I was like looking at it like, oh, that looks pretty good.
I think they're just upgrades. I think they're actually just going to be visual upgrades of the original moves, the original rotation you had. Because you had Corel Fist and Lion Fist. I feel like they're just going to be like, this is your new ones, which are the same moves, but with
Cooler.
animations.
With cooler animation.
And do more damage because they're now level 90 plus instead of the level they were originally.
Oh, that was it. Also looking forward to Dragoon remake and Astro.
Astro, yeah. I'm excited about
What card game will get them now?
We did see Dragoon, literally their AoE was literally Nidhogg,
Yeah.
which I thought that was really cool. Astro, we just saw an AoE and I'm like, it can look like anything.
Well, to me, it looked like upgraded horoscope because the animation that happens around everybody is what happens with horoscope when it gets healed at the end of the countdown. So that's what I wonder. I'm really curious to see how the cards are going to work.
Unfortunately, the Astro animation was also the same as of you just doing an AoE heal.
Right.
So I'm like, have they just decided to just put, you know what, let's just put horoscope on our AoE heals now? Or something like that. Which could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be good in a way because that would at least remove I know it sounds annoying, but for some people, but at least that would remove a button, which Astro has quite a lot of buttons, I find.
It does.
Compared to
It
some of
does.
the other
Yeah.
jobs.
I just got off raiding with it because I've been raiding with Astro recently, and it has been a nightmare because I'm P12S. I have to card dump. I'm like brain rot, and then I have like my raid team quoting Harry Potter, and I'm sitting there going, "Stop making me laugh! I'm trying to concentrate." I'd say Astro is not a streamer class. I can tell you that because you have to be fully focused, and I can't look at chat when I'm playing.
I don't know. It's not too bad if you remember the fact that they're color based. Well, if you've got color blindness, of course, that will cause problems. But like all the cards are color based, so you can work out just by the color of the card which one to give to who.
No, I mean just in general to heal and to
Yeah.
do timers. It is a lot of hard. Definitely, if you're on controller, I'm not on controller. I'm mouse and keyboard.
Yeah,
But
same.
obviously, you'd have to have a macro to place down your glow. I'm just gonna call it
Earthly
globe now.
Star.
That's it, star. I couldn't remember what it was called then. And for me, I can just place it down. It's fine. But you have so many different types of heals that it's confusing. So I'm hoping they fix that to a more
Yeah.
not having to have my fully focused 100% of the time, and I can still have fun with the class.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's funny because all the people who main Dragoon that I know all really like Dragoon in its current iteration. So I'm not quite sure what in the world they're going to do. I am just looking forward to the fact that it looks like Summoner probably isn't going to change all that much. And that's a huge change as a Summoner going into an expansion, knowing things are going to be more or less the same.
I think you're going to get Ramu as your big thing.
That's what I was telling him.
Yeah, to Dragoon main the moment they added the Weathering pet from 11, then I would switch to Dragoon. If anyone has never played 11, if you don't know, they had their own pet dragon that attacked with them in 11.
I've heard of that. And I have quite a few 11 friends, and they've talked about that before, and I'm like, wow, that actually does sound really cool.
I think it was the first 3 years that they would also never get invited to parties. So there's that. Because their Dragoon was half their damage, but it had a health bar, and it could die. And and it could only be summoned every 2 hours.
2 hours?
So, yeah, once every 2 hours, real lifetime.
Oh, gosh.
If you got unlucky and it got hit by a load of AoEs and died, that's half the DPS gone.
Wow.
And for some reason, for the first few years, it counted as a party member, which meant that the XP was then split between everyone, including the dragon that didn't need XP.
Oh,
so the dragon was getting some of the party XP, even though it didn't need it. So that meant less XP for everyone else.
Wow. I can understand why Dragoons were not invited.
So Dragoons would sit around being the last to be invited because, yeah, them and Beastmasters, but Beastmasters didn't care because they were a solo-based job anyway. So,
right. I am excited to see what Beastmaster looks like when we eventually get it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. If I'm going to say what I'm looking forward to, in Dawn Trail is Beastmaster, and I hope that they bring back double axes, like in 11. That's what it was in 11. So dual single axes it was, and even though I don't like crabs because they're scary and evil, I hope they bring back the Courier crab, which was one of the Beastmaster's best pets. Till I think you got the Courier crab at like level 30. And it was your best pet till level 75, which was the max level at the time. It was just that good. It had stone skin and defense up abilities, so it was a great tank. It could tank for you while you did all the damage.
Ooh.
And it couldn't get hurt. So
that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of stone skin, we should probably start getting into our actual topic of this episode, which is looking back at 10 years of playing Final Fantasy XIV. Tobias, insert more music here. So we're back. See, I told you, it's just ingrained to say those words. 10 years of playing Final Fantasy XIV. But before we get into 14 itself, I did want to ask you two, what was your first experience with Final Fantasy, like overall?
My first was when I was really confused because I think I can't remember how old I was exactly, but when Final Fantasy VII first came out, I was a teenager, and I was really confused of why a game came out that had the number 7, but there had been no other releases before then. Like it was the first one of its kind, and I was really confused at why it started at 7. So I thought maybe it's because there's 7 party members, or maybe there's something to do with 7. And then 8 came out a year later, and I'm like, why was the 7? Where is 1 to 6? So yeah, that was my first experience was with 7, and it was an amazing experience. It was a great game.
I had a similar experience like that because I got the demo on my Gateway 98, and
Oh wow!
I was like, why is this called 7? But then I played the demo. It was like a Coliseum-y type battle thing, and I got to summon Shiva and went, I need this.
I remember for 8, especially, I think it was 8, where because this was back in the day when we didn't really have release dates for games. They just kind of came out, and like you didn't know that they were coming out really, unlike nowadays where you got the internet. So I went in and saw the official PlayStation magazine had a demo of Final Fantasy 8. I'm like, oh my god, an 8th one! I've got to buy this because I like the last one. And then like went over the road to HMV, and they had the game for sale already. And I was like short by like this amount of money now that I just paid for the demo disc.
Paul, what was yours?
I'm a baby. When 7 came out, I think I was probably wasn't even thought of. But my first experience with Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy 13. I think it was like the Xbox 360. I think
it would be. Yep.
Back when I used to be a Call of Duty, FIFA, Halo nerd. But yeah, that was my first one. Was 13, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty fun. Oh, this is cool. I like the characters. You know, I didn't like Hope. Hope was just a whiny ass. He was just whiny. I know your mother died, but come on, survival. But other than that, that's literally it. And I've just played. I haven't played any of the old ones, so that was my first one. Was just Final Fantasy 13.
I am. Don't worry. If you're the baby, I am the elderly statesman here, and that's the nice way of saying old man. Because my first Final Fantasy was 1, in for the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. I didn't actually play it at my house. I didn't own it because my family was poor. But I would go to friends' houses and play like the first few hours multiple times of the first Final Fantasy. And we would also, our version of like cops, robbers, or cowboys and Indians, we would pretend that we were living playing Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest or Warrior at the time, where we would all line up in like in a line and run around like backyards and woods and things, pretending we were fighting like orcs and trolls and Marlboros and things like we were a Final Fantasy game.
I was actually born the year Fantasy 1 came out, 1987.
Same.
Yeah, I was 7. But then I'll switch this around. That we'll start with Paul though, because I know you've had a lot of experience playing various MMOs. What was your first experience with an MMO?
My first experience was RuneScape. We found out that you could play RuneScape in our primary school computers. So we kind of got addicted that way. We kind of like every IT will just be sitting there playing it, and then like the teacher would look at us, would be like quickly tab out, like do work. But I kind of got addicted to that because it was a grindy game. I like grind games. Grind games are fun. That was my first interlude, was RuneScape, and I was like, really fun. Get like my wood cutting up, my like cooking, fishing, and doing all that. It was fun. That was my first ever MMO, and I just got addicted to MMOs through that. And now I can't stop. MMOs are everywhere.
Even games that really shouldn't be MMOs are MMOs sometimes. Chili, what was yours?
EverQuest 1 was my first MMO. I didn't play that for long though. It was just a little short. I was just trying it out, and then I probably played that for like a couple of months, and then I imported the American version of Fantasy 11 because I didn't want to wait for the European release because we had no idea when it was coming out. So I imported Fantasy 11 from America at the time. So yeah, that technically EverQuest, but really it was mainly 11 that was my first that I actually put time and effort into.
Mine was Ragnarok Online, but again, much like Chili, not really. Like I played around with it for a little bit, and then for some reason I decided I really wanted to try. Or not. That's why I had a friend of mine, and she was playing Final Fantasy 11. She's like, "Hey Basil, play Final Fantasy 11 with me." I'm like, "Okay," and so I buy it. I get home. I discover that the box had been previously opened, and someone had stolen the activation code out of the box. And so
no.
I had to go back to Walmart, and the person there was so like, "Wait, a what? This was like, yeah, the code wasn't in there. I would just like to swap it out with another box, please." And they're like, "Oh, you just want to swap it for another box? I understand that. Okay, fine. Go to electronics, go grab another box." So I went and did it, and I made sure that box was untampered with. I got it, I installed it, did the play online stuff, got online, met my friend, and she was already like max level, and she went, "Okay, yep, this is the game. All right, go have fun." And I'm like, "Wait, what? All right, what am I doing?" And she's like, "You'll figure it out." I would like to report I did not figure it out.
I still remember because I'd never really played on keyboard and mouse before back in the day because I was a controller player. And then the Fantasy 11 is really bad on controller. Really, in my opinion, it's better on keyboard and mouse. I hate to say that, but it is. But because at the time and still now, I'm okay now. Like I would know what I shouted out, but like I actually worked out what shout command was, so I could ask what were the buttons to move forward, because I couldn't work out how to move my character.
For me, it was a case of she had chosen the server that she was on because it was predominantly populated with Japanese players, and she was using it as an excuse to practice typing out and talking in Japanese with people. And so it was very hard to actually like group up with anybody to do anything. And so I was trying to play this game essentially entirely solo, and only I think Chains of Promethea had come out, like one of the first expansions. So this is very early on in the 11 experience, and trying to play that game as a solo player was a fool's errand.
I'm trying to remember which one. I think Siren was one of the Japanese servers back in the day. I know I was on Ashura, but I don't think that was a Japanese server. I think
he was on Siren actually, right?
That sounds right, but that was so long ago. And eventually I tried some other MMOs here and there, and my friend James eventually went, just play WoW with me. Just play WoW. I've got a really good guild. We're pretty good friends, and we can show you the ropes. We'll run the early stuff with you. It's fine. And this was also very much vanilla WoW. Like this is before Burning Crusade and all that. Like I think Next Rammus was just introduced. So that was the majority of my MMO time was playing World of Warcraft. And that was a good time, which very neatly actually ended up preparing me, not that I realized it, for Final Fantasy 14, because when I played for 11, I really wanted to be a summoner because I like carbuncles and I like summons, and Rydia is my favorite Final Fantasy character. And I was like, what's the closest thing there is to a summoner in WoW? Well, that'd be Warlock. And I ended up playing an Affliction Warlock, which slotted in very neatly in Realm Reborn. Summoner plays exactly like what I remember playing an Affliction Warlock as.
Exactly was like that.
Yeah, so like it was for me, it was a real smooth transition.
In opposition to that, I am an MMO baby. Technically 14 is my first and only MMO. Basil and I had started dating, and it was coming out fairly, because we started dating in January of 2013. And so one day we were in the car with our other friend Umi, and they were like, we want to start a new MMO. We want to play a new MMO, and they're like, they're redoing 14. I really want to give it a shot. They're redoing it, and I'm sitting here going, what? And they were like, yeah, all of us want to play it together. We're all gonna play it together. And I was like, Basil, I've never played an MMO. And he was like, it'll be fine. And so I ended up getting the trial of WoW, and I logged into it once, and I was so lost, so confused. I remember running. I got stuck on the map or something, and I was like, I can't do this. This is crazy. I don't know what all these buttons do. I'm just thoroughly lost. And so, again, when it got closer to us picking up Realm Reborn, Basil was like, okay, I really want you to play with this. And I was like, I don't think I like MMOs. I was like, I downloaded WoW. I don't think I like MMOs. He was like, will you at least, he said, if I buy it for you, it comes with your first month. Will you just try it? And if you don't like it, you don't have to keep playing it. And I was like, okay, fair. Well, 10 years later, I now raid. And but I started learning this game terribly. I had, like we said earlier, I had a laptop that was worse than a PS3. I had to sit there with like fans on it to get it to even run. And I didn't know about keyboard, or I didn't know about, like, with like keyboards and mice for it. I didn't know about controllers. I played with a trackpad and my laptop keyboard. And one day Basil was watching me and he went, dear God, here. And he handed me a Star Wars themed MMO mouse and went, play with this. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because after a while, we were like, WoW fell apart because guild drama. That was essentially, it was during the Northern expansion. And it all sort of fell apart. A lot of us stopped playing, and all my friends stopped playing. So I'm like, well, all right. I've played it for many years. I'm good. But around that time, I was starting to get the itch, and I played some Guild Wars 2, and I played some Eve, and I played a lot of Old Republic, and that was the closest thing. But I remember after Mass Effect 3 came out, I stopped playing SWTOR. I played Mass Effect 3. I came back, and it was a ghost town. Everyone apparently had all left to play Mass Effect 3, and no one I knew came back.
I mean, as I've said I've said that a few times on other podcasts, I got into 14 2.0. I tried 1.0. It lost me, and then I had no interest in 2.0 until I met some people playing Mass Effect 3 in the multiplayer. And they were like, because I was playing with them regularly, and they were like, we're going to try Fantasy 14 on PS3. And like, wait, it's coming to console? Wait, it's real still? Like, not really paying any attention to any of the news back then, And so that's how I got into Fantasy 14 again, was through Mass Effect 3 as well.
Mass Effect 3, that multiplayer was surprisingly good.
It's very good. I can't say anything because I'm a BioWare fanboy, so I will defend them till the end, until they add a season pass to a game that shouldn't have a season pass. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Star Wars, Ubisoft. F off. Sorry.
I agree and disagree with that knowledge.
What was single player games having season passes?
I mean, single player games have multiple expansions nowadays, which is nothing.
Yeah, it's called DLC that you buy.
Yeah.
That you buy separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The season pass covers those DLC. So, I agree and disagree with you because I think it's stupid, but I also understand why they're doing it.
To make more money. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, make money at an earlier date than what they would make later. They would otherwise they would have to wait until the actual DLC comes out to make money. By selling it as a season pass, they can make the money right away rather than having to wait a few months for it to come out and then make the money.
I'm fine if it's like, hey, here's the DLC we have planned. You can buy it piecemeal, or we're selling this as a bundle, but you know what you're getting into. when you buy it, that's
Kind of like
fine.
16, because I think we bought both when the last one came out.
But if it's like the case of something more like a Fortnite battle pass, but it's for predominantly like a single player game that might have some multiplayer to it as like an offshoot, that's when I'm like, no, I'm good. That's a little much.
Yeah, if your single player game has dailies, I'm out.
Yeah. Paul, how'd you get to 14?
I was around. I did play a lot of WoW. That's where I met most of my friends. I actually met a person on there who I used to kill a lot as a rogue because that was my favorite class in WoW. And I actually went to the same college as him. And then I met up with another friend, a friend of his, that we just all became friends. So like 3 of us became friends. And they're like, Paul, I know you don't play WoW anymore. And I'm like, I was mainly playing League of Legends at the time. So I was playing a lot of League and just playing League. And they're like, why don't you come play this 14? I'm like, I don't know if I want to get back into another MMO because I put so much time into WoW. And I was like, oh, but maybe I'll go back to WoW. And then I was like, F it. It was like my birthday. By the time I was like 19. It was like my 19th birthday. I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's just play it. I like bought it that day, downloaded it, and that's how it was. And then I played with those 3. Like they basically kind of helped me get into it because one of them played 11. One of them like was like, okay, so you come do this, and this was in like it was like 2 point something. And I was in 2 point. It was in the 2.0 series, and I was enjoying it. I was fine. I was a bard. I was a cat girl. I was like, yeah, this was cool. And I switched over to White Mage, and White Mage was cool. But it was like, oh no, it was very weird because I didn't understand the story of Final Fantasies because I knew there was loads of Final Fantasies. Other than I felt like, so how does this connect with Final Fantasy 13? Because 13, 14, do they connect? Yep. And obviously, I've never played any other Final Fantasy game. So I'm just like, do they all connect? It was like, no, it's just an MMO. This is like standalone thing. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I kind of just like got into the story, and that's how I kind of I was like, oh, cool, this is fun. And then you find out that one of your friends is not a very good person who forced me to role play as something, which I just like. My other friend, he was like, just roll with it, just go into these delusion. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But he turned out to be quite a non. If you know what that means, then you know what that means. If you don't know what that means, good thing you don't know what that means. But yeah, But other than that, I still talk with the guy that got me into Final Fantasy 14. He comes onto my stream every now and then. Like we live in the same town. That's how I got. It was like college people. It was like, here, just play this. Yeah, sure. And then like my friend used to like. I server traveled so much in A Realm Reborn. My friend took me to like America. He took me to JP. Came back to America. Went back to EU. We went server hopping, and he paid for all of it. I'm sitting there going, I'm just here for the ride.
Nice.
He's just taking me places. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, that's how I got into Final Fantasy 14. I was just there for the ride. And now look at me, I do content for it for like 8 years. Jeez, time flies.
I did want to ask, like, how did the whole Moogle Go Round radio thing happen? How did y'all like team up and start doing this stuff?
Oh, that's a whole can of fish.
Yeah, that's a can of worms right there. Do you want to tell them the story, or do you want me to tell the story?
You got this one. I've been talking. It's all you.
Well, there was another podcast that we were part of back in the day. Well, I was part of. Can we say I was supposed to be a guest on it? I was as a guest host that they were supposed to have on occasionally when the other hosts weren't on, just in case. I was the backup host, just in case. That someone couldn't make it. I was there. Anyway, someone kept not making it, so I ended up being on it basically every episode of their podcast. But then he started looking for another host. I think it was Paul, because I think you tried to get on right as a host.
I was a part of a all-girls Final Fantasy XIV podcast as a backup host. And if you have been around the Final Fantasy XIV, they were called Whispering Dawn. They were supposed to talk about everything about, like, you know, women and stuff in MMOs and stuff. I was there as a backup host and to help with their notes because they asked me to. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then I somehow ended up being mostly on the show, and I was more entertaining than some of them, which I found was funny. I learned that from someone. That was not my words. I did not know half the time I was talking. But again, I'm not a woman. Last time I checked, I am a dude. So being on a all-female podcast to talk about women's situation around MMOs and Final Fantasy XIV was kind of weird. And I don't actually know how. I knew of Phoenix Down Radio. I talked with them. I think I went on their show once, maybe a few times. But at the time I was on the same server as them. So I think that's how I knew them.
Anyway, then they asked for, because they're every 2 weeks, so the plan was for us to be every 2 weeks between their shows. So we were going to be like a sideshow to their main show. But then stuff happened over time, and then in 2018, wasn't it? 2018? It just boiled over, and we ended up splintering away because of issues and reasons. And then Moogle Go Round became its own separate thing then, and then we've just been continuing since then.
It was great. I remember I think it was like Sayume was their name. Was like, oh, there's another British guy. Why don't you make a British podcast with them? And I'm like, sure, because I've been wanting to get out of. I was wanting to get out of Whispering Dawn. I think Whispering Dawn was ending at the time, so I was just looking for another thing to do. And I really enjoyed talking about 14. And so they were just like, oh, this is Chili. And I'm like, oh, hi, Chili. And then it took us time to because obviously we had known each other, who each other was. And then we knew one of the host was Klaus. I had to remember then. And he was always kind of being there as well, because I didn't know how to record podcasts. I was just a voice. I was just there. I'm not there for my technical tech talk. I'm there to be a absolute dick. Not a dick, but a funny person. I'm there to be what's the word? What they do in wrestling. I'm just there to be entertainment.
Oh, a heel?
Yeah. No, not even a heel, just either a baby face or a heel. One of those two could be, Well, I could have a really weird concept, or I'm just there.
You're the outlier, essentially.
Yeah. But unfortunately, how we did that podcast, Klaus recorded the stuff and it went on their website and stuff. So, and every time we recorded something when he weren't there, we had to send to him to do all that. And he would edit it all down. So it was weird. It's very weird. We had to download stuff to open up files and send it to him, so it makes it easier. Me, I was I was about a teenager trying to do all this, so it was hard. I think when we split off, it felt more like we had a say in what we could do. It wasn't we need to, we're the sister podcast. No, we're just moving around. That was the best part. I would say Phoenix Down brought us together. Yes, we had a disagreement for it, but we do thank them and saying I got to meet Chili, and now we are this. I was about to say just this entity now that has just been going on for 8 years and are still going.
That's an achievement. That really is. There is. I remember the existence of 2018 very well, because I lucked out, and this is sort of going ahead, but that's fine. That Las Vegas North American Fan Fest, and I believe, was it Limit Break Radio who was hosting a big after party one of those nights, and this was sort of the inciting incident for creating the Carbuncle Chronicle itself, as it were, because I've been doing the Awesome Cast since like 2008. I've been doing general anime and video game talkings for a while into microphones. And we were doing a segment we were calling the Final Fantasy 14 Minute, where it would last longer than a minute, but we would portion out before we talk about our main topic. We would talk about what we were doing in 14, but it wasn't a 14 podcast. And we're going to that after party, and I would talk, and everyone's talking about their podcasts and their streams and this and that, and I'd bring up mine, and they would also like, yeah, and then I pause and go, but I'm thinking maybe just breaking out and also doing a separate 14 specific podcast. And we're like, oh, really? Okay, now we're interested. Now let's talk. And I'm like, okay. I didn't think just having something that was just, I thought having a 14 segment was pretty good. Okay, maybe I really should look into doing a 14 specific podcast. Okay, now I have to think of a name for it. Huh. And around that same time, I don't know if it was after that or it was like the next day, but I do remember chit-chatting in an elevator. And one of the guys I was talking to had this British accent, and we were dashing off to, I think it wasn't the announcement, it might have been the live letter. It might have been the live letter the next day. And we were running off to go to that. And he then goes to me while we're dashing. He's like, hey, my name's Chili. I may not remember you after this, so let's follow each other on Twitter now, so that way I'll know that you're a cool person.
That sounds like Chili. That sounds like him.
And that's not our offense. I'm just really bad with names, so I just want to clear that up.
Look, my name's Basil, and one of the bonuses of being named Basil is that everyone tends to remember who you are because it's a decently unique name.
Basil, like the seasoning, right? Like the ingredient, basil.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like the puppet.
Yeah, Basil Brush.
It was a puppet, right?
Basil Brush.
Yeah, Basil Brush.
The fop.
Or of Baker Street. Like I've gotten that a lot too. Or the guy in Austin Powers was a lot growing up, was that too. But a lot of people remember who I am, but because everyone tends to remember who I am, I also have a terrible issues remembering who anybody else is because everyone remembers who I am. So I 100% understand the struggle that there is. But that was how I met Chili. But also when I'm like, okay, I really should talk and we should think about doing a 14 specific podcast. And we did it a little bit here and there. And then the other time I was like, okay, we really got to get this started again, was when I just happened to guest on Moogle Go Round because y'all needed someone to talk with y'all. And I was available on short notice. I remember we were talking about the latest trailer for a Final Fantasy VII remake accidentally became the main story topic because the trailer had just happened like earlier that day or the day before or something. It was very recent. And I was like, yeah. I do this podcast. It's called the Oscast, but I'm really going to kickstart and really take a real stab at doing the Carbuncle Chronicle. And we now have many episodes out, not as many as Moogle Go Round, obviously, but we've been able to get this going at least a monthly basis for a decent while now. So I'm really happy for everything to sort of come full circle, as it were, and having y'all on our show.
Great to be here.
It's awesome. Thank you so much. Seriously, it's lovely to be on.
And hey, now you can tell Rook you've been on this one before she has, because she was busy when we asked her way back in December.
Yeah, but Rook's just really busy.
I know.
Rook's just really busy. Like she's always got stuff going on. Like Rook's awesome, but she busy.
See, that's the one thing I have other than every other content creator. I have a lot of time. I am never busy. So hey, ask anyone else out there. Ask me to come on. I got time. You want to do it at 3 a.m.? I got you. I'll be on at 3 a.m. You know, you want me at lunchtime? I'm there. Though I'd have to wake up, but yeah, I'll be there eventually.
You say that, but I would posit that the two of you are also busy because not only do you do the podcast thing, but you'll also do the whole stream thing. So it's not like you're not doing anything.
I mean,
Yeah, but people said don't sleep. So,
until you don't sleep,
know.
you proved that today. You came into the stream and said, "I want to sleep." Okay, go sleep, but I can't. Why? Because I'm sitting there playing Dokkan Battle. I'm like, it's like when he's like, it's like when he says, "Oh yeah, we take the piss out of him that he works for SE," because he has all this insider knowledge. Sometimes, like, are you sure you don't have like Yoshi P on your speed dial? And he just doesn't. He doesn't make it easy for us to not believe him.
Look, I'm just very good at guessing.
It's funny because I will, based on how we talking, I will say something like either an opinion or like I'll predict something, and the next thing I know, I look at Twitter and Chili has said the exact same thing. I'm like, we think alike. Like, it's great. I feel validated.
It is awesome.
See, I'm not good at guessing, and I don't try and guess, so I just sit there and hope. That's a lie. I do predict some stuff, but mine are usually wrong. Like I wanted Corsair and I got Viper.
I still hope that Viper's good. I absolutely understand the want for like a legitimate like pirate D class because I'm with you on that. There's a reason why Limsa's my main city.
Pirate.
But I just hope that Viper is good. I would rather, even if it's not the thing that I want, I'd rather it be the thing I didn't want, but is still good, versus the thing I didn't want and it's also bad. That's just not fun for anybody.
Viper, I feel like, is just going to be a greedy DPS, and it's just going to be, oh look, I look like Ninja, but with bigger swords, with bigger daggers, pretty much.
So melee DPS, okay. I mean,
when are we going to get a support melee DPS? We could have got that with a squash-buckling pirate.
that would be an interesting take on a melee DPS, one that was not greedy, but was a more support role. That would be interesting.
I love pirates, and I love League of Legends, and League of Legends have one of the best pirate types, or like best pirate-themed way. It's called Bilgewater. But what you could have done is like, the pirate can be ranged and melee. It's a little bit hybrid. Think of Red Mage, right? Think of a Red Mage, but you got like cannons and stuff. You can like pop out a cannon just out your pocket, or you can fire cannons from your phantom ship across Limsa or something like that. But you could also give like a rally, because that's what you do. Pirates rally, don't they? You get crit and all that. You can give a heal. You just throw throw an orange at them, because all pirates had scurvy at some point, and how do they counteract scurvy? Oranges. Could have been a nice little heal. Give people oranges. That could have been cool. But no, you give us Viper, which is probably not going to give you any support. No love either. And guess what? You can't wear the AF gear anyway, because you can't wear a hood. Why? Because I'm a Vieira main and a Hrothgar main. We won't be able to wear hoods.
Well, at least I'll be able to wear glasses. I'm very excited about glasses.
I think that's what Basil's looking forward to most.
Yeah, man. Glasses and a summoner horn.
Still doesn't help me as a Vieira, but
Yeah.
But we're not talking about Dawn Trail. No, we're looking backwards. We're looking,
before Vieira.
Yeah, before Vieira. Yeah, yeah. Well, so
where I was a Fantasia addicted. I was an addict. I changed race nearly every week. At least like 4 times a week, I would change race.
Oh yeah, we have a friend that he keeps a count in his search info. And he's usually in the 3 digits.
Oof. I think for how much I spent on Fantasias, I probably could have put a down payment on a car.
A lot of Fantasia.
Yeah.
Now just think of that. A car.
Yeah. But let's take a a moment to travel back in time to August 27th, 2013, then actually like the next year afterwards, with A Realm Reborn, the reinvention of Final Fantasy XIV. So yeah, A Realm Reborn. It 1.0 happened, and it was not very good. It was not good. I know Chili had more experience with it than I do. I tried the initial beta for it, and within like 10 minutes, I'm like, oh, this is not it. This is not, no, oh no.
Oh, no.
No, it's not good. So I didn't play it, and it was also on the heels of 13, and I did not have a good time with Final Fantasy 13. Oh, that's a whole Paul. That's a whole other podcast. I am not going to get into it on this episode, but I am not. If you're looking for a 13 defender, that ain't me. I ain't it.
I disliked 13, but that wasn't because of 13 itself. I didn't have a HD TV back in the day. I still had a small SD TV, a small standard definition TV. And the text was so small that I actually had to get eye strain playing the game. So that's why I didn't like 13. It wasn't the game. It was the fact that it would hurt my eyeballs trying to read the health bars.
But yeah, for me, it was then a year later. It was they had announced the open beta for the PS4 version of 14. And I was like, okay. So I tried that, and immediately, okay, I'm playing it, and this is good. This is really good. It really reminded me of a lot of the best aspects I enjoyed of both World of Warcraft, but also Guild Wars 2. But with already a better storyline than I have ever experienced in an MMO. And so that's when I went, okay, y'all, my friends group, we've been wanting another MMO to get addicted to. I think, and we've always wanted to be Final Fantasy. We've always wanted a Final Fantasy MMO that we could be addicted to. I think Realm Reborn, I think this is it. Spoilers, it clearly was.
Because we're still here.
We're still here. And Anna had the smart idea to look back and just to see when we really started. And Chili was just the trend center here because he started back when it launched, right before it launched, actually. You were in that open beta too for the initial one.
Yeah. 2016. And the date is in American, so it confused me for a second when I looked at it. I'm like, wait, there's not 16 months.
Wait a minute.
When did 16 months come?
When did this happen?
I work for NASA and I put dates on everything, and that's how I write it.
Oh, that's just the way Americans write their dates. So I was like confused as well. I was like, oh wait, no.
Yeah.
It's okay. Paul's threw me off too, and I'm like, there aren't 24 months.
Actually, I got hit like quickly. I realized, okay, he's putting the technically correct way to do it.
So no, motherfuckers, I'm dyslexic. I'm writing it the way I know.
Oh my gosh. My job. I was telling someone the other day. I said I feel like this job has either made me dyslexic or made me realize I've always been dyslexic because I swap numbers so much, which is not good when you're a document data manager.
It was extra wild for us because we came in on April of 2014, and it was right at the tail end of the Hatching Tide event.
Yeah, we logged in and was like, why are there eggs everywhere? And then we discovered, oh, there's an event. Oh, can we do the event? You have to be level 15. And it ends day after tomorrow. And we did not make it.
And I just thought that, because I goofed. I wanted to be a summoner. That's what I wanted it to be. Because I want my carbuncles, and I want to summon Bahamut's, and have cool summon buddies. And I misread things, and so I started as a thaumaturge because I knew you would start with one class and you would transition to another class. I knew that much going in. I did not realize that technically thaumaturge was the entry point for Black Mage, not, and what I really wanted was Arcanist. So I start in Ul'dah, and I thought that the song that the bunny girls, now that's later, the cat girls who are dancing in that one square in Ul'dah, I thought they were dancing to Papaya. I didn't realize that was just the holiday themed music in that area that shows up when you get into that area. And I thought that was just the song that they danced to as Papaya. But that did endear me to Papaya more than the average person.
Papaya. Papaya. It's a good song.
It is a good song.
How could you dislike anyway?
We had it playing during our wedding reception. It's a good song. So what were y'all's first thoughts when you first logged in and started playing 14 for the first time?
Honestly, I was the opening movie cutscene. I was like, holy shit. I was very excited when when you can start moving your character. I was very excited at how they taught me how to play the game. Because like I said, I had tried the WoW trial, and I was just thrown in there with abilities, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I really appreciated how they taught you how to play.
For me, I think it was the fact of how far. I know this will sound weird to anyone that plays Final Fantasy 14, but as someone that went from 11, which is what they tried to make, they tried to make it like a turn-based online game. So it's very, very slow compared to even 14 because it's an online turn-based game, and it was all about getting your TP up to 100% to do weapon skills and And then when I started 14, and then you just press buttons to do attacks, it was like, wait, I just press the buttons and I do things? I don't have to wait for 5 minutes to do a thing? How do I chat to party members while I do this? Because that was the great thing about how slow the combat was, because it built a good community in 11. I know that sounds... Because how slow you attacked, you could just type masses of sentences while you wait for your next attack. You discuss your day. In 14, it's like, oh, this button, this button, this button. Oh god, this is so fast.
That would be great for raid.
I'm thinking that would actually be nice because, Lord knows, if it wasn't for Discord, I don't really know how I would be able to truly communicate while playing 14. Having voice over IP stuff I feel is kind of essential if you really want to play this game with other people and communicate.
Yeah. Well, 11, it's especially as the fact that you would time stuff. You got your TP up by doing auto attacks, and then once you got 100% TP, we could do an attack, one of your special attacks. But your special attacks were elemental based, so you would then try and wait until another person in your party also 100%. They would say, "Oh, I'm at 100%." You'd be like, "Oh, sweet." So okay, you do a fire one, and I do a water one. That will make fusion. And that would then mean the black mage then gets a damage increase when they use their black magic. So, okay, I'll use mine, then you use yours, and then you do yours. Once you said it once or twice, you got it set in rotation. But that was how it was a lot of communicating between party members on who did what time, you know. Unless you're on a burn party, in which case you just pressed the buttons when they came up because you're on a burn party and nobody cared. Burn party, for anyone that doesn't know, was when it was mostly the same job. So, like, there's a party. The party was a 6 members, so you might have, I don't know, 5 monks and a tank. Or if you're really good, you'll just have 6 monks and not care about tanks because things died so fast you didn't really need it. But that was like if you were geared up properly. So yeah, sorry for talking about 11 again.
Oh no, that's fine. Hey, we got the 11 raid coming, so
Yeah.
we'll definitely need our experts on that.
Look, if I knew the people who I played with 14 now, back when I played 11, I would have actually been able to play 11 and had a good time. Because I know so many more people now that played 11 back in the day. And clearly, if you played 11 back in the day remotely seriously, you loved it. I haven't talked to a single person who didn't love their time playing 11 that got into 11. And so much of 14 is built on the bones of 11, even now. So I don't mind hearing about the good old days, as it were, like, at all.
It did have its flaws, though. It did have its flaws. I'm not going to dismiss that. Like, some gear was best in slot for way too long. Like 14, like, it's, you know, it's best in slot is like 1 patch, right?
Mhm.
Like 1 or 2 patches is your best in slot. Monk, do you want to know how long their belt was best in slot for?
Oh boy.
5 patches.
Do you want to know how long Monk's belt was best in slot? 9 years. It was best in slot for 9 years because it
Wow.
let you reach the haste cap for your character. So it was best in slot until they raised the level cap.
Wow.
Because it allowed you to hit the actual game's cap for a stat. So, you know, you didn't want to have anything else because, you know, it was but that also was the flaw because you had to farm 3 enemies for it, and those enemies spawned every 24 hours real lifetime. Or 100% drop rate was from the version that had a chance to spawn every 72 hours. So, and unlike 14, where, you know, if I attack it, everyone can attack it. No, in 11, if I hit the enemy, only the party members in my group could then attack it, and only we would then be able to roll on the loot. So there'd be hundreds of people camping around this one enemy, waiting for it to spawn. Then you gotta hope that you get it before them. Otherwise, you then have to wait another 24 hours just to try again.
Didn't we actually have that in 14 at one point?
You kind of had it with the, what you call it? I guess with hunts. in
Yeah,
a way,
because
but
if
not
a
exactly.
Then, like-
party took it away, or if someone, it would turn grey. Was
The diadem stuff,
Yeah.
maybe?
it might have been the diadem
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, I think what 14, well, one lesson like 14 learned, because that was also like how like World of Warcraft would do it. Like, I remember so many times trying to tag mobs to do quest stuff, and someone tagged it first. Whereas 14 from the get-go, even if, say, myself and Paul, we were both trying to kill this wolf, and even if he tagged it first, as long as I did enough damage to it, I generated enough of my own personal hate on that wolf, we would both then get rewards out of it. And so it builds a naturally cooperative experience from the get-go and not like an antagonistic one, which I feel was a very good early design decision. And you get the sort of the same thing with fates and whatnot and other stuff like that, or hunts, where as long as you generate enough personal hate, however you're dealing damage or generating enmity or healing or what have you, as long as the game recognizes, oh yeah, no, you were totally there, you'll get your gold, you'll get your credit.
It's nice.
And also being able to actually just queue into dungeons was so amazing.
Instead
Because-
of running all the way there.
Or my job as a warlock was
yeah.
I had to create portals for people to get to the place. One of my primary purposes in life when I played World of Warcraft was creating those portals and also having that one be able to have that one healer or something, give them their res.
Soulstone, yep.
Yeah, with Soulstone.
See, I like Warlock. I played Warlock recently. Well, I would say recently. Let's say the past 3-ish years. I was on and off in WoW and I played that. But when I was playing way back when I was playing Rogue, seeing that there was a Warlock in my party to get to the dungeon, I'm like, oh, thank the Lord. I used to tip them like a couple of gold, like, thank you for the TP. I was like, I can't be asked to go get my world buff and then get there. I'm like, I can't be asked.
The whole concept of just like the duty finder of just like you've unlocked it, now you queue in and it'll auto fill in the people you don't have. Like that's by itself was just such a godsend. And just thinking, man, this is really, really good. And then getting in like, was it 1,000 Maws? Totorak, where it was this really weird like maze and having to navigate that was not so much fun. But I remember the very first dungeon that I'm like, we would used to die a lot back in the day was the sunken Temple of Corn. Because
I have run that so much lately with Sprouts.
That first boss with the doom, and you have to know to run to that pad after you get the doom. Just you've never had to deal with anything like that before in the game, and that is such a pain point, as it were, where you have to start learning. Oh, you can't just run up to boss, kill boss. Oh, you have to do something else now. Okay, this is new.
Was it the hard version of that one where it had? No, it was the first one of that one. When the first boss that had the bees that had like final sting.
Yep.
I learned that for the first time. Like, oh, that insta kills. We should probably kill them first.
The first dungeon that really gave me issues, and this is when I started tanking, because I again never played MMO, and so when I learned that I have to play different classes to level up my bard, well, I might as well try other classes. So I tried Marauder. And I got into Brayflox, and I was still learning, so I didn't know about like leveling up my gear. I didn't know about gearing up, and I didn't know about certain things. And so we got to the first boss in there, and we couldn't kill it. Like we were dying, and the healer left. And I remember a new healer came in, and they were more experienced, and they went, okay, look, they're like, I can do my best to keep you alive, but you have to get better gear if you want to keep going. And I went, thank you. I'm going to leave, so I'm not a hindrance. And I left and went, Basil helped me get new gear. And even to this day, that one gets me, that dungeon gives me PTSD, even now.
As a healer, I didn't like that first boss.
Yeah.
As a bard, I didn't fucking care.
Right. So that's the thing, is I started as archer. So I was an archer bard, and I had to level monk to 15 to get to bard. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to try tanking.
See, I enjoyed that, though, because you had to actually like level other things to get to another job, which I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then the yokai event came around the first time, and I used it doing fates to level other classes and went, well, might as well level everything. So I now have all 90s because of that event.
So my friend used the trick of how to get to level 15 to do dungeon. We used to sit there and do levy.
Oh, nice.
To level up my other classes. I was like, yeah, that's a pretty fun way to do it. It was a great way to do it, because levies are great. I love levy. I need to get my Honest Gillionaire title still. I'm getting close. But I didn't want to cheese it like how everyone else cheesed it with the goddamn coffee biscuits. But yeah. I actually really enjoyed it. I was in Gridania and just doing like levies over and over again. It's great fun.
I mean, it wasn't exactly the same levy. I remember, was it the Heaven's Ward relic? where one of the steps to use the levy quests, and one of the items drop from a levy quest, and you could just like go to the quest area.
I forgot about that.
To pick up the item and then disband the quest, and then pick it up again and disband the quest and pick it up again. Yeah. Like you weren't actually doing the quest; you were just spamming that same quest over and over again, and you could get the item.
Sometimes it could spawn it, sometimes it couldn't spawn it. Sometimes you're like, okay, well, keep going.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I hated that. It was like Amber, something Amber.
Yep, it's still one of the best relics they've ever brought out.
I agree. Like looks wise, I like them, but I am not someone that enjoys a grind like that. I'll do it. Like the Zeta weapon, I did one Zeta weapon just so I could get the tea kettles. Because I saw those and went, that is the best weapon in this game. I need it.
I need to do a Zeta. I didn't do a Zeta. I got burnt out because obviously you had to get the Atmas and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they didn't like me. I spent 3 weeks getting one.
Yeah.
I got to that point where I don't like Fate. I don't want to see a Fate. It's still to this day. I have PTSD of Fates. I hate them.
That is why in the show docs, I have listed as Fates liking, loving, hating, acceptance.
Yep.
I still remember for the Atma grind that I kept okay, I'm not good with directions or maps. For anyone that doesn't knows me, I'm rubbish with those.
It's true. We had to use Google Maps to find where we were in London.
Yeah. And I was like, I had been farming an Atma for like 5 hours straight. And I'm like, man, I was like in the link shell going, man, this Atma's not dropping. Like, why is it not dropping? Like, all the others drop like in like an hour or so. Why is this one taking so long? And they're like, Chili, you do know that it's the east version of the area and you're in this one. I'm like, oh.
I have done something similar like many times. Like I either wouldn't have the weapon equipped, I'd be in the wrong area. Yeah, I've been there many times.
But yeah, like it's when I first started playing 14, like the idea of Fates was interesting. It reminded me of similar things in Guild Wars 2. And then I really started loving them when I realized that they could tell little storylines like in the fates themselves. Like this fate would lead to this fate, that fate would have a chance to spawn that fate. And then there are these big fates that you would get like a neat little like minion or an item or something from doing the fate after you create. Yeah, like, just it would all generate into this big finale. And I thought that was really, really, really cool. And then I started on my initial relic grind, and then I read all about the really low drop rates and how many fates you had to do, and I went, oh no. And also doing the fates to unlock freaking Labyrinth of Ancients. And you had to wait for the right fate to do it, and then get gold. And it was a whole thing, or tribe quests.
Yeah, doing the original tribe quest. Yep.
Yeah, requiring drops from certain fates. And if the fate hadn't spawned, you would then do other fates to try to get it to spawn. And it was like, I'm like, y'all, stop it. And then I figure around Heaven's Ward, I'm like, okay, all right, I don't know, is it Stockholm or whatever? And nowadays, fates are fine. Whatever, I'll do fates. But I think also the existence of the bicolored gemstones and them building an entire reward system now just built into fates did a lot for me for accepting that, you know what, I think I like fates again. I don't love them, but I like them.
I'm just shaking my head and I'm like, they cannot do anything for me to like fates ever again.
Oh, I hate them, but I will do them so I can get minions and cards. And there's a reason he's finished all of the fates for Endwalker and I haven't. I need to work on that.
That's the wrong reason I didn't like Boja, because they were fates.
Yep.
Luckily, Heaven's Ward, I bited my teeth, like gritted it through. But they had better drop rate to get what I needed, and it made me so happy.
Oh yeah,
it made me so happy. Still didn't like Fate, but it made me happy that I got the drops quite quick.
I remember with Stormblood, because of Raubon Extreme, no one could do anything in the fringes, so we all went and did Fates, and I was like, this is the only time you're going to get me to do Fates, because there's nothing else for me to do right now.
Anyone remember when it was actually better to fail a Fate than it was to beat the Fate back in the day from A Realm Reborn? In Northern Fanaland, the second Fate gave more XP than the first Fate. In like the mining area. I can't remember the exact name of the area off the top of my head. And so everyone knew that it was better to fail the Fate because it would end the Fate faster to get to the second Fate that gave more XP. So everyone would just be standing there waiting for it to fail, and then once it's failed, then they'd instantly burn through it because it was just better to do that than it was actually to participate in the actual Fate itself.
Yep.
Yeah, it was the Chimera Fate, if I remember correctly.
No, was it?
Yeah, because the Chimera Fate gave so much XP.
Yeah.
There used to be people saying Chimera Fate up, and like people would like run. They would run to that stuff, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty neat.
Playing 2.0, especially at launch, especially going through the patches, is definitely a different time than replaying through ARR now. Just because the eye levels were so much lower initially. Because I remember, because I made sure to put this in the show notes, because doing Circus Tower when it came out, and it's so much tougher than doing it now, where there are actually mechanics. You have to do things in Circus Tower. There are entirely swaths of boss mechanics that we just blow past thanks to the powers of eye level.
I miss it being hard, but sometimes I just don't want to do a lot, so I'm glad to get Circus Tower, but yeah, I do miss like the pads and jumping around the boss arena with the clock minion, the clock ad boss, and if you didn't get behind the ice for curtain call, you were dead.
I mean, you are still dead now. But...
Some people can survive it barely, but yeah, then like the quakes with Zande, like those would automatically kill you if you weren't on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I really do wish they would fix that one, because that one teaches you, that one gives you the wrong lesson that you can stack markers, and you can't.
Remember that farming for your sands of time and stuff to upgrade your gear?
Yeah.
You have to fight people for it, go roll for that stuff. Oh, I remember doing it so much. Oh, the good old days. And now you not there anymore.
You burn it.
Still have my sands in my bag.
Those patches were exciting. Like I remember, getting like 3 dungeons every patch, and there was more storyline. I get it that nowadays, and I mean, they've done work to make it less of a thing. And I actually have some friends who came in during the Shadowbringers time, and they actually really enjoyed the patches of 2.0 leading into Heaven's Ward. But just at the time, it was like watching an episode of a TV show I really liked, and out of nowhere, they added a couple new episodes.
It took me, like you say in the show notes, we have my first achievement was April 16th. I did not hit 50 until they announced the patch that Shiva was coming. And I went, well, crap, now I have to get to 50. Because I would play every now and then, and I had to take like a month off because I had severe back pain and couldn't really even sit up. So it took me a long time to catch up, and I finally one day like was talking to Basil because I was trying to get geared up and caught up before the Shiva patch came out that October, and I was talking to Basil about something. I was like, I know I'm still so behind. I've got this and I'm doing this, and he went, wait, and he went, show me something, and I showed it to him. He went, you're ahead of me. I was like, wait, what? He was like, you've not only caught up, but you have now surpassed where I am. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, once Anna gets her mind focused on something, she gets there.
I never knew that the game would have like updates and content. I just thought, oh, this is just the MMO, like kind of chill. Like I didn't know when a patch was gonna come out until like my friend was like, oh yeah, new patch is coming out today, and I'm like, huh? What patch? Huh? Something changed? Like, yeah, they add a new story. I'm like, oh shit, they do that here? Because obviously, I did not care about fucking WoW Story. WoW Story was just everything up in the air. You have to go find WoW Story. You have to physically go and find WoW Story. I played it for fun. But in this one, it's like, oh, they're bringing out like new story. Like I remember the story when they bought people from Doma, like the Doman people. I don't think it was Doma. I know. When they bought she had like a mask on and everything.
Yugiri,
that was it. And she was like when she turned up, I'm like, oh, what's this? What's this? What's this? New person? I enjoyed that. I enjoyed when they had like a content update. I'm like, oh, there's stuff to do. Oh, new dungeon. Oh, don't mind if I do.
See, for me, the new relic, the Hildebrand relic. One, I like Hildebrand, so that was I was already signed on board. Listeners, if this is just happen to be your first episode because you're like, oh shoot, Paul and Chili are on, I'm there. Our April 1st episode, some lovable scams took it over, and they had a podcast called the Manderville Minute talking about Hildebrand. But for me, what has happened with this relic is because it's just tombstones of causality, and it's not that hard to get them because there are multiple ways you can get causality tombstones. This is the first time I've went, you know what? I could theoretically, I could feasibly get a cool looking relic for every single job in this game. I could do that. I could actually, I gotta, I gotta work towards it. I still gotta put in the grinding to make it happen. But I could actually do it. In that realization and me doing that or working towards it, I'm still working on it, has given me the actual impetus to actually get all my battle classes to 90. I've never done that before. All I have left now is leveling up Dragoon. Shadowbringers, if you got everything to 80, you got a mount. That apparently wasn't good enough for me. I'm going to get it when I hit level 80 on my Dragoon. But it was the idea of getting a cool weapon going into Dawntrail for every class, for every job, and knowing that it's, a very good weapon that's going to last me through the first half or so of Dawntrail. That got me. And I don't think I'll ever do this again. One, I don't think they'll do the relic as simple again. I think they got that message that overall people want a little more complications to their relic than they did. I think they got that message loud and clear.
Can I say this? How about this for a compromise? Okay, because I know you both prefer the tome as it is. What if, let's just say for the next relic, because I've been saying this on our podcast a few times and I've said it on Twitter. What if, okay, the first time you do the relic, you have a huge grind. Well, I say huge, but you have a bit of a grind like you did with the previous older relics. But once you've got the first relic and you have finished it, or at least finished each step, what I mean by like step 1 is out, you finish step 1, step 2 is out, you finish step 2. Once you have finished the step on one weapon, you can then on a future alternate job that you want, say you did on monk, you did the grind, you did all that, and now you've leveled up paladin and you want your paladin relic. Now, what if it then allows you to either do the grind or do the grind and then have the items sold to you with tomestones, so that way you can use the tomestones to help you get the second relic, but you've still got the grind if you want to do that as well. So you can do the grind and then use the tomes that you get from the grind to speed up the process of getting it, or just use the tomes to get it if you want to.
I think that would be great. And I feel like they did something similar with the anima weapon, because after a while, you could turn in things for that. And yeah, I think that would be a sort of a best of both worlds scenario. Because I've done every grind. I've done every relic, or not every class, but I've done at least one of every relic. As much as I hated Eureka, as much as I hated Baja, I did it. I've completed everything in them, even the high-end raid. So, like, I'll do it. But yeah, to get extra, to get other weapons, that would be great. I think that sounds...
Wait, hated Eureka?
Yeah. Why did I hate Eureka?
Okay, but...
again, I don't like fates. So that was the big thing. And then I didn't like, dying and losing a level. Like, all of the 11 aspects of it, I was like, oh god. But I do need to go back in there. I still have one minion I have to get from bunnies. I still need the copycat bulb. That is the one minion I need from Eureka, and then I need one more field note from Baja to get my bike.
I would like to do that, but again, I'm a terrible player. So I don't think... Well, I would like to do Baja because I want the bike, because the bike looks cool. But Eureka, nah.
I like them both. I like the systems in Baja more. I would love the exploratory zone to give me the various locales and colors and ambiance that Eureka had, but like the higher level of story and interplay of fates and the systems that Baja had. I think, taking the best of both things and making like a new field operation, that is something that I am looking forward to in Dawn Trail. But I also am now looking forward to asking the two of you to be back on, because we have been recording for 2 hours and we've only touched upon
A Realm Reborn.
We got more expansions that we can wistfully look back and go, those were the days. And so I think that should be a different episode.
No, how Realm Reborn has gone, I mean, that might be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 episodes you'd have to do.
And Stormblood, we could cut 2 in half. Like the expansion should have been.
Yeah.
Those are opinions that I somewhat agree with, but we will get into
to think
another time.
To think of what you thinking of what the field note thing, I wanted a thing that, how treasure maps are?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it to be how like open world could be like that, but a puzzle that adds lore and depth to the world or Orzia, but you could also get rewards from, like how you can do maps, but puzzles and like going down into ancient ruins of like Grandania or something like that.
So kind of like Variant.
A little bit like Variant Dungeons, but it's like it's not all about battling. There may be a boss battle here and there, but it's all about like puzzles and like deciphering stuff. I would love that stuff. I've been wanting that stuff for years.
I just want to say, with all the maps like we've seen in the trailers and stuff like that, with our character using them and stuff, I feel like there's going to be some sort of exploration map thing, because like we have the scene where we pick up the map, and we got the scene where we in Benchmark we've got the map. There's a lot of map based scenery and content that we've seen for Dawn Trail. I do feel like there's something going on with maps.
I hope
I could just be looking into it too much.
If that's the new field operation type thing, sign me up. Sign me up for the next war. That's what I say. So that was a Boja joke, I guess.
Fantasy 9 had something called Choco. I can't remember what Chocographs, where you dig them up in the Chocobo forest, and then you had to go around and like use like a sonar thing on your Chocobo to try and find the treasures on the world map. Maybe they're going to do something like that with all the Fantasy 9 references that we've been getting. Maybe they're going to bring something like Chocographs into 14.
Is that one we're experience when I play Final Fantasy 9 for the first time? Chocograph.
I'm still holding out hope for that 9 remake to be true. I keep holding out hope.
That would be fun.
I'm waiting for that anime to come out.
That too.
Because they've been working on that supposedly for a long time.
Speaking of working on that for a long time, I think we're going to conclude this episode of the Carbuncle Chronicle. Once again, massive thanks to both Chili and Paul. Thank y'all for coming on, and please plug away.
Plug. Paul and Chili, we do a podcast called Moogle Around Radio. You can find Moogle Around Radio nearly everywhere. Twitter, mainly at Moogle Around on Twitter, and you can find it anywhere. Just search up Moogle Around Radio. You'll find it everywhere. iTunes, YouTube, Twitch. We're there. There you go. That's it. Greatest plug in the world.
Don't forget Paul Bun also streams on Paul_Bun.
Yeah, that too. If Streamlabs doesn't want to keep killing itself or unaliving itself because it breaks, I don't know.
But thank you for having us on. It's been a blast, and sorry we rambled so much that we could only cover Reborn.
No, it's great.
When I was working on the show notes, I'm like, oh man, I'm putting so many things on this. We are not going to get through all this. I have a feeling it's going to be multiple episodes. And I was right. And that's fine.
When you sent it to us in the message, like, oh, what's your email so we can send you? I looked at the first thing while I was streaming. I'm like, yeah, we're not going to get through like half of this.
No.
No. We didn't. And that's fine. That is fine. So yes, this has been the Carbuncle Chronicle. It is now edited by Tobias, but Anna's also edited many an episode. The theme song is initially done by our buddy James. You can find all his stuff at djinabito.com or him streaming just at Inabito, but arranged by Anna for the Carbuncle Chronicle. Our website is thecarbunclechronicle.com, but you can also find it at awesomecast.com/the Carbuncle Chronicle. It's a part of the Awesomecast family, and we do all sorts of podcasts there at awesomecast.com. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/awesomecast. We also have the Awesomecast Discord, and you can find all these things at our website. We also have 2 YouTube channels, one for Awesomecast in general, and then one specifically for the Carbuncle Chronicle. We ask that everyone always leave reviews wherever they can leave reviews. Usually it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I am on various social media things at It's Basil Time. Primarily, I'm on Blue Sky, but I'll post things everywhere else too. Anna, a lot of her stuff is at Angel Darkfire, but the middle A is missing. And we also have various Twitches. Mine is at It's Basil Time. Anna's is at Angel Darkfire, but no.
The A is silent.
The A is silent. But as we end all episodes, I tell everyone to never, ever forget, you tank the Bone Dragon up north. Because that's a primal
Tobias, hit that shit. Play that outro music.
That's right.
So I had to. I wanted to.
I love it.
Sorry, Tobias. I'm making Tobias do too much work.
He will be excited.